Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. Storm here tonight, so I'll try to stay with y'all as long as I can. If the power goes off, just hang around. Hopefully, the generator will kick on, and in about 5 minutes or so, I would be able to get back on after the Wi-Fi would have to reboot. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. We appreciate you being here. What happened? We'll have a presentation, and then I'll be going through chat, trying to keep up with it and be answering any questions that you have. But we appreciate y'all being here tonight. We're going to be looking at a case that started off that with Chris and I that as we was doing the Murdaugh homicides and looking at that case, and then it evolved into the Smith, and it's been a while since we've looked at this case and talked about it, and we absolutely need to. There's been a lot that went on with the family that they were able to go out there, and through pressure from the public, South Carolina SLED reopened and looked at the case and reclassified it as a homicide, and which has been for a long time. And what information has come out now that wasn't available back then, hopefully we'll find out in the coming days. It's like I said, it's there's been little leaks now. How accurate are these leaks that have been released, and about the grand jury and findings and what's coming and is on the horizon? Still a little, speculation, but was there new evidence found? I absolutely hope so and believe so, because one of the things that we'll be looking at tonight that was referenced was that they believe that the location of where Stephen was found in the location of the homicide, due to the large amount of blood that was on the scene. And I can understand that, for the fact that if there was another location, there would have been a lot of blood loss from those type of injuries. First location, unless he was maintained in a certain position that wouldn't allow that blood loss to occur. And so we have to look at it that, and I would believe that law enforcement would look at it from both perspectives and come to whatever conclusion, and hopefully it's the right conclusion. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into the short presentation right quick. Of course, this is a case that originated back in 2015 on Sandy Run Road up in Hampton, South Carolina, and of Stephen Smith that was found in the early morning hours. And upon law enforcement arriving, there was a differing of opinion. Some was a homicide and some thought it was a motor vehicle wreck, and it has put us on a path of no one really understanding the evidence, and until the mother was able to get enough that spun off of the Murdaugh trial to get SLED to look at the case again, and they agreed with her. It was homicide, and so that shows that the public at large still has certain abilities to move, assist these families to have an impact, and so we have to be, very mindful of that, and use that power that we have when we can to have a positive impact. But the grand jury, and this is from the standpoint of the attorney Bland, and there's articles out there and there's sources saying that all of this is accurate. A grand jury has been convened, which, you know, for grand jury to be convened is huge from the standpoint that the case was reclassified. There was autopsies performed, evidence collected, reevaluation of the crime scene, and those findings that if a grand jury is convened, it means that more than likely we have warrants on the horizon. Now, have those warrants been issued yet? I don't know. If once a warrant is issued, that that fast tracks a lot of things. Now, would they hold those indictments from the grand juries? Not so much the warrants. The warrants would come, but from the grand jury. So from them saying that subpoenas and warrants from the grand jury is a little, I don't know if South Carolina has a different thing than what Georgia has, but the grand juries here would be indictment. So I don't know in that article that mentions that, was it just someone misspoke, or is it a misquote, or is that what the South Carolina acts on? But they, from this article or quote article, that the grand jury is scheduled to reconvene next week. This came in from a day or two ago, and so tomorrow, or well, this morning, related to the murder of the of Stephen. And then they talk about a couple of weeks ago, Eric Bland said he believed the grand jury had been impaneled, and there's still people that are saying it has and is, and that advised subpoenas and warrants are being issued. Subpoenas, absolutely. If a grand jury is convened, they're going to subpoena either a lot of parties, and those subpoenas would go out to not only law enforcement, but anyone that might have pertinent information regarding the case. Now, like I said, I didn't quite understand when they mentioned the warrants, because, like I said, could those be issued? You know, I'm not so sure with the South Carolina perspective, but like I said, here in Georgia, the grand juries indict, and once those indictments come, then of course warrants will be part of the process when sheriff's offices go out and serve those. And so I guess they're correct in the long in the long explanation of everything, that they would be correct, that warrants would be issued at some point. Anyway, so let's go up here and let's see who's in chat, and then we'll get into any questions, and we'll talk about the case and what possibly could be going on, what possibly they found out. Let's see here. We got Bama in the house, Jessica, Mitzi, good to see you. Cynthia. Okay. Jocelyn, Betsy, hello, wafflers. Yeah, we were talking at members earlier today about the wafflers and trying to get us. I got to get Miss Steve to see if she can do us a true crime web for the morning watch people. Criminal Med, good to see you. Michelle. Yeah, we had a terrible lightning storm about 20 minutes ago, and the power and lights were flickering. Didn't know if I was going to be on the air or not. And Sally, good to see you. Oh, Betsy, that's all right. You'll get it. We have some very supporters every now and then pop in here and give some out, and I appreciate that. And of course, we've started out. Why did I get a craving for pancakes? Actually, in about 7.5 hours, I'll be having. My daughter wants to go this morning, and so I'll see her in just a few hours. And Dwayne, good to see you. Let's see what's going on here. Absolutely. Prayers, Miss Sandy. Absolutely. I've never, I've seen some YouTube creators that actually do um, Uber or uh, and uh, and get food and delivered. They just absolutely amazing. Um, Akashirness, good to see you. True Crime with Frank, he's here. Slapfish, good to see you. Jeff F, how you doing? We are doing extremely well. And this is a possibility room, and that someone did come forward through either subpoena or through the new interviews, or they changed stories. There's a lot of things that can happen in 7 or 8 years, um, and people sometimes they'll trap them from one statement to another. When law enforcement looks back at, well, back then you told us this, and now you're telling us this, and so and is that part of what happened? It could be, or relationships change. Um, People that might have been alibis 8 years ago are no longer alibis. They're not their relationship, their friendship, whatever power that someone would have held over them could dissolve, and we see that a lot in law enforcement from that standpoint perspective, that those things can change. And if they do change, and law enforcement can use time to progress a case, and often that is exactly what does happen, that things change. Yeah, it's storming everywhere. Oh, let's see here. My computer just jumped about all over the place. No, we're gonna have some waffles in the morning, but they were talking about pancakes. Yeah, but we're gonna have waffles in the morning. And so, uh, used to they didn't have biscuits either, but some of them at one point, I don't know if they still have them, started serving biscuits and gravy. So um, I don't know if they'll ever change their menu or not. I don't know if they still do. Hello, Dilly Pickles. Good to see you. Polygraph. Good to see you. Lisa. Oh yeah, I sleep. I'll go to sleep in a couple, another hour or two, and I don't sleep a lot. I sleep 4 or 5 hours. I don't know if they do or not. Now, I have a hot spot that whenever I travel, that I take with me, so I have a Wi-Fi wherever I go. We decided to do that when the foundation got funded to make sure that as I travel and work these cold cases, that I would have access to my um, uh, computer, and of course, you're not going to be able. You're not always close to some of these well-known restaurants that carry and have Wi-Fi, especially some of the areas I work out in the country and the world. Um, Indiana has some back roads. Iowa has some extremely back roads, and a hot spot comes in handy. Um, have I ever seen a Waffle House food fight? I've seen a lot of fights at Waffle House, but not I guess I've seen plates and everything, but it wasn't started with the food, but it was, due to alcohol. Yes, we haven't had any rain in almost, I guess, 2 weeks. Um, little old storm passed through a few days ago, but it wasn't but for 5 or 10 minutes. And so we needed the rain, and hopefully we'll get it. Lisa, absolutely. I love biscuits and gravy. I absolutely do. Um, sadly, sadly, I do. There's someone else, Wanda, also. Oh, and that's when I started here, and Mrs. Steve and I got together, and we married, and then Nikki came along a couple years later, and the uh, early in your law enforcement career, you don't get to spend a lot of time with your family, and so um, you're working 2 or 3 jobs in law enforcement. And after I was in law enforcement and I was able to retire, she was a teenager then, and so I left and spent, I guess, the last 6 years of her school, going to all her ball games and stuff, trying to make up for what I lost early on. Hello, I will. I know I believe she's out of Canada, but PEI girl, um, I think is how that is. Let's see here. Lisa says liver mush. I have no idea what that means. Got a new member, Gamecocks, South Carolina, 98, became a YouTube member. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. And I hope that justice is found in South Carolina soon, for Stephen. I can't have no idea. Livermore, North Carolina. I have never had that. Now, I like chicken livers, but I don't know what liver mush is. And I agree with this, Ann. I kind of doubt and out related to the Murdochs as actual perks, but certainly they may have some sort of stuff for clients. Though Murdoch's quite the gang of fixers. Um, and I think that has been hinted at by the attorney that it won't be related. Or there was an article that I read the other day that says that there's doesn't appear links, but now uh, those articles, they're just speculation. Also, because everything in a grand jury is secret. No one knows what's going on behind those closed doors. What evidence is being presented. Fascinating. If you saw who the individuals that are subpoenaed, and those individuals that went to the grand jury to testify would tell you which way the um, data and the evidence is going. Is it from a certain individuals that live in a certain part of the county, um, or related to other individuals that's been suspects, and or if is from people that work with or went to school with Stephen, and what relationships is it going to be from his um, social media, and was and I'm absolutely believe that if they got into Stephen's phone, that's going to be critical, because a lot of information, and we see that often now, that those phones are the turning points that absolutely turns these cases upside down, and hope that's the case with this one. Oh, okay, Betsy. Uh, so you have two devices and you're signed in with. All righty. Oh, so I had my mind memory on that one. So good. Uh, okay, Lisa says liver mush is better and sauce is spicier. Um, I'll take your word for it. Me and you on the Google machine, we're absolutely lost on these here kind of under correct account. That's funny. Cornmeal is added to make it crunchy. Huh. I bet you Waffle House don't have liver mush. They got grits and waffles. But let's go on and look at some other things that if the homicide happened at the scene, that means all these um, injuries occurred at the scene. Um, and now, will it turn out to be that it was a traffic accident? You know, I would be shocked if they say and it comes back as a traffic accident. Um, I would be absolutely shocked. Do I believe it is? But been wrong before. But with them coming out and saying that this is the scene of the homicide, then that means everything that uh, was in those probable cause and then those findings from the autopsy and all those injuries happened there. Was it through a fight? Was it through being struck by a type of weapon that was used? And the extensive skull fractures, um, the hemorrhaging, the laceration, and what appeared, and that was the thing that absolutely drove everybody crazy and still drives me crazy. What type of injury that fooled some of those thinking that Stephen was shot that morning and had a gunshot wound to his head? Because there's other things that would cause injury such as that. And um, and then once SLED got on scene, they said, no, it's not gunshot. So, but what type of injury would fool a who was on the scene to make uh, jump and be that wrong? I mean, it had to be something that had a hole that was close to the size of what a bullet would be. And the right shoulder dislocation um, and uh, the because, like I said, the dislocation of a shoulder and no other lower extremity injuries and all the injuries to the head. Uh, I've worked a lot of hit and runs, and always there was other injuries um, that were associated with impact from a vehicle. And shoes are left in the road. So I would be extremely surprised if it turns out to be a some type of hit and run. All right, let me get in here again and see what's going on. Yeah, and this was always a possibility because some law enforcement officers stated exactly this, and that they thought that one or two things: either he was received those injuries elsewhere, and if they were received elsewhere, they had to be relatively close by uh, for the fact of the amount of blood at location. And it could be that it was somewhere else, and it's a short location of transfer or transportation. Not that it would be miles, but when you look at it, of course, it was only 3 miles away, and uh, could it have been anywhere? Could it have been along that stretch anywhere else? Absolutely. We don't know. But if they found some other new evidence there at the roadway, and that has brought them to, or was it his phone? Um, and like I said, his phone may have showed certain activities, um, such as what happened with the Murdoch. That uh, there's certain apps that, when they're activated, will show certain movements and things. And have they been able to get into that phone and see some more details that show exactly what happened? And I hope that is the case. No, yeah, I'm from Georgia, but I've never had liver mush. No, that's not from my part of Georgia. Something that we I'll have to ask my brothers and sister if they've ever had liver mush, but it wasn't in our household. So, Dwayne, I hate uh, your uh, 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 belief that I'm from Georgia or not by liver mush, but no, we just never had it. Lisa's happy somebody else has had it. Grits taste. I love them. I don't. I can eat just grits and salt and butter, and I'm happy. I, I love grits, um, and I throw eggs in them too. And no way that you can mess up grits. I've had them with everything from sausage, eggs. Um, Now, some people put sugar in them. I've never liked that, but and Jeff, I agree with you. With there being no debris of the vehicle, I can't see it being caused. Um, and I agree with you that if he was struck by a vehicle somewhere else and transported there, that's a good theory. But it would have to be high. And but once again, we don't have those lower extremities with any type of, and but that is possible. If you're on your phone, certain devices, the join won't show up. And there's, if you send me an email, I'll send you back a link to a YouTube that shows you how to go through the other devices. I'll put you in the desktop mode of YouTube. And I think it's Chrome. I think you have to go Google up Chrome, come in through Chrome, and select the desktop YouTube through Chrome, and it will let you join up on your other devices rather than a laptop or a desktop. Oh yeah, there's perfect grit. I don't like runny grits either. No. Thank you. Very nice of you to say that. That the breakdown of the Murdoch was excellent. And I started another case that has some very similar re about to do in on a case that we're just taking up. I ordered a bunch of materials today, and um, of course, we can't release the information on it right now. But we have the case file and we have some photographs and we have some blood spatter, just pretty much that was. And the family has asked me to look at it and try to reconstruct that one. And that's what we're going to be doing for the next month. As soon as the bills come in, I've got, just like I did with the Murdoch case, I'll be doing a lot of firearm experiments. And so whenever that content comes out, I'll share it with you. It'll probably be late June to get to share all of that, though. And this is something else I've never had fried. Oh, sound I guess it would be absolutely divine uh, if I could have grits that had a crust. I think I could go for that. Ah, Dave is here. Yes, Dave, you're late, and I know you're late. You know how I know you're late? There's about 15 people that's mentioned waffles before before you showed up, so you're late. Yes. Actually, I told him, Dave, that my daughter and I we're going to get some waffles in the morning in just a few hours. Grits. That was on Mail Diner. What was the waitress's name that always said that? Um, and then I'm trying to think of the other waitress name the show was after. I'm telling you, uh, but Kiss My Grits, I remember that so much. Steve, I know, Jeff says, Steve, I know you went to the nearby Warhol or whatever it's called, the Lover's Lane, I think you called it. Was there any type of rocky area or place to jump into the Warhol? Um, the whole parking lot at its highest point above the creek when I was there was probably only two water level. Had a boat ramp there, and there was a dock or not, but now of course, even the bridges, that's low country out there. Um, even the bridges, if you jumped off a bridge anywhere from there, um, the water is extremely shallow. Um, and could you add on with that maybe he could have had some type of because that does happen. Um, I've seen that. Besides liver mush, an old family that I use recipe that I bet no one here has heard of. We make thickened milk. It's sweet and delicious. No, I've never had that. Now, my in-laws are from South Georgia, and they make something with which I'd never heard of this. Now, Mrs. Steve loves it, and that's milk and biscuits. I've never. Now, my grandmother used to eat cornbread and buttermilk, and which I hate also. But they do milk and biscuits. Never had that before. I watch them eat it, but I don't partake. Oh, goodness. Yeah, miss me and you both. We love cheese grits. If they don't think you're from Georgia, just say wash. Um, very possible, though, one of those Murdoch hush investigation may be because perps were somehow friends with Murdoch. Tight little clique down there in that swamp country. And you're absolutely that's a great point. Um, the Murdochs were known by a lot of people, and were they've given the heads up to come over there for whatever reason, and then did Alex not see the money that could be made from it, or possibly, um, you know, take someone else's money? Was he going to try to scam somebody? There's several different reasons why Alex might have shown up, and it could be from that they were the uh, entity in that county, and someone contacted them to come over there, or uh, other behaviors of stealing money from other clients. It could have been from that standpoint also. Wayne Warsh. No, I'm not. I don't put the U in Warsh. Warsh, Warsh. I don't think I do. Heard of it. Fries. You've got me wanting that now. I absolutely do. If Stephen was hit by a vehicle, could someone have cleaned up the scene and debris? Is it possible to do that? Yes, but you have to stay there on the scene, and you would think that within the pool of blood and everywhere else that there would have been glass. That if he was struck with or a grill or a headlight, um, um, that there are certain things you can't clean up at a hit and run. You can't clean up the paint transfer that happens when um, it will transfer onto your clothing, and it's there. And now, and some of that and some of his old clothing, I don't know what they found. Um, uh, and I don't know what the family still had from the original crime scene. But I think the clothing gone. Grace is here. She's late from the storm. Nah, you're fine. Dave, he done hit him a skunk. While I was up in Pennsylvania, uh, yeah, I went by a couple of skunks. We could now here. I don't know. Do they call them polecats up there? Down here, we call them polecats. I don't know if that's something that's across the country or just Georgia. No, yeah, and I knew that's where you was going with that. That if he could have jumped off into it, it's a long way. The transport, um, and someone could have drove it to that location. I understand where you're going with that, but that's a long drive for to be in your vehicle. And what made them the location of where his body was found is where the assault occurred. Um, I don't know what found, but I'm looking forward to finding out. Yeah, the video could be choppy. I mean, we're in the middle of a storm. Is for you. I'm sorry. Yes, Flo was the other waitress. Yes, that's it. Um, on Alice. I I'll be glad to talk to anybody for you and with you. Yeah, I hate that it is cutting out. Sorry, for whatever reason. Like I said, we're in the middle of a storm and the power's been going on and off. So the like I said, we way back here in these woods. So your great aunt used to do milk and biscuits, and they have a name for it, and I can't remember what they call it. And but I'll have to ask, and I'm sure it's something that's, um, but they call cornbread and buttermilk, triple SS. Now I love the pinto beans and cornbread. Um, and I've never put mayo in it, but the hot sauce and onion, absolutely. I can eat. I can live on pinto beans, onion, and uh, absolutely. They'll eat anything, anything in Texas. Ah, that's funny. Um, Transparency. I was wondering if Mr. Murdoch accidentally fired. Weren't they washing down after a hunt? Would that still be class? Yeah, I don't know what the attorneys will try to say, but we have two victims and two weapons, and it's going to be any accident. At least the jury and the judge do not believe that anything was accidental about that crime. Oh, computer went crazy again, guys. I get caught back. There was a lot of speculation about that, Jessica, that he was the possibly the other prominent, and that's the thing is the importance of Stevens digital, being able to get into that phone and find out who that prominent person or who he was texting and what messages for, because that could be the thing that, and I would think more than likely, if anything, um, uh, that they probably, I'm hoping they were able to get into that phone. Sandy said, I heard on Fit News from South Carolina that suspects are the two Randy Murdoch gave names. Um, could be. Um, Absolutely could be. Lisa said, uh, those fried cheese grits won over my former uh, father in Japanese, not liking her the grits were served. Yeah, Dwayne, yeah, polecats here in North Carolina, Georgia. I don't know if that was something that was up north or not. And Jessica says that she believes that because of the story from the girl of the night. Okay, and Grace says that they think it's another one of the murders. That's the prominent, because that was extremely interesting during the trial. That when Alec was on the stand and the prosecutor kept saying, "Aren't you a prominent in person in the community?" And he absolutely not let that word be associated with his name. And I found that extremely interesting about the prominent part. And why would you know? Um, that was something I Paula Daniels says, have heard polecats, but we call them skunks. Okay. Betsy says, they just give up. Trying to do it, aren't Betsy? Well, I hope you do get some rain up there. If y'all need it, we need it here. We don't want to have any fires or anything because it's dangerous. Um, of course, y'all up there are having to deal with the smoke from Canada. And Jessica agrees that the phone is key for sure. I hope that's exactly what it is. They wanted me to go rattlesnake hunting with them at night, says Dave. No way I'm hunting, especially. Yeah, um, we we have our here. Yeah. Missy says, I don't think Stephen would consider BM an older man. Good point. Yes, that's what was in the article that the scene is the location of the homicide. And that's interesting that they've come up with that. Oh, slapfish. Here's a little something for you and your daughter's breakfast. Have a wonderful breakfast. Thank you. Appreciate it. Plus, I will be using that on the trip. Thank you. Yes, I had to agree, and it was out there. And is it that simple? But where is the debris? And that's the thing. And part of it way back then. Um, what evidence um, and why didn't they prosecute back then? Because that would have been a simple way to case. Um, so there's a lot of confusion, and that's always the case. No matter what homicide, there's always that going to happen. Of why didn't they prosecute back then? But thank you, Slapfish. That's very nice of you to support us. Thanks. I was thinking the son was accidental and the wife was done after to conceal. And could it? And I wouldn't argue with the point that if it was just one single shot to the son, two, and two is not accidental. Um, and I could see your point if the first one, if it had a single that maybe you could panic, but he suffered two gunshot wounds, and that's not something that would be accidental. That's just my opinion, but I don't believe so. Hopefully they had his clothes, but I thought that some of them said that they had there was something about the clothes that had um, um, been transferred back or something. My neighbor's got he's screaming. Let me tell you, uh, donkeys are, I mean, they are fierce. I'm not just saying it's all Murdoch because I want them to be involved. I want the truth for Stephen and his mom. Yes. Yeah, the Murdochs did for a lot of different actors put themselves in there. Best bars in Texas. Uh, Hee Haw. Oh, Hee Haw. I forgot about that show too. But I know you're talking about the donkey. Well, great. I'm glad you did have a great relationship, Flatfish. Um, um, uh, yeah, baby Steve is absolutely brilliant. And my grandson, he is a terror. Um, he is wide open. He's 4 going on 5, but really he's 4 going on a cat 5. Hurricane is what he is. He's a cat 4 constantly, but he should be a cat 5. And the Waffle House Index, he'd be at the highest level. We were talking about the Murdoch homicides of where the son had 2 injuries. I haven't seen that. Is it a new video? I haven't seen that one. Yes, they did body for new testing and for another opinion on the autopsies. Yes, and hopefully they got some more information out of it. Ah, I got bit by a donkey, and there's nothing fun about getting bit by a donkey. They're extremely strong. My dad used to say, "Do you know they actually play music on Ehaw?" Um, I'm positive Alex committed the murder naked. I don't know if that's true or not. Now, that's interesting concept. That's extremely interesting. I don't think I've, um, I think I have heard that rumored a time or two, but um, I just can't imagine um, that being the case. But like I said, I don't know. Ah, don't tell Mrs. Steve that you have a new puppy. She'll be she'll be wanting it. I've never seen one like her about dogs. Now I do absolutely that he did wash off with a water hose. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not going to go out and run around shooting a gun naked. They'd have me in a institute. They would put me in an institute. And on this next case, I'm not going to do it on that either. Oh, me, y'all are funny. Yeah, Triple A. I agree with you that um, uh, done it without clothing on, um, but you know there have been cases where people have committed crimes like that. So I really can't argue. I wasn't there, so I don't really know. Do you think it's a serial offender in Oregon? There's a great possibility. Now, is there serial Absolutely. Is these six related to it? Could be. It's possible. But but Oregon has a long history of serial offenders, and if anywhere there was going to be a serial offender through Washington State, Oregon, California, yes, they have their lion's share of them. Sorry to hear that, Jeff, that you lost your German Shepherd a week ago. That was terrible. Thinking about his plan with Cousin Eddie is similar to Mag. Yeah, but Alex was I don't think he was a really great attorney, and he most certainly is not a really good criminal. And this is a good point. Just being naked. Yes, about him trying to wiggle out of the Satterfield insurance claim. Um, I mean, that man. There's just not enough words to um, tell you how evil an individual like him and the opportunity. I mean, how much money does it take uh, uh, for these people to be satisfied? And there's not enough money in the world. And it's terrible what they will do to other people to commit homicides, to steal money. It's just unbelievable. Now, did he wash off I don't collected that night, but if you wash off and if there's any, and it's not easy to clean up if you're around any type. I know that it can be done, but uh, washing off and then going and taking a shower to make sure you get all the telltale signs of any type of blood off of you. It takes a certain amount of cleaning. Blood's not easy to clean up after, even on your person, because you can transfer it to your seat belts, to your car seats, to your um, um, brake pedals. It depends if you step in it and everything. And now I agree with Jessica on this. Y'all making it too complicated. Alex is not that smart. I agree with you. He's not that smart. Yeah, goodness. Yeah, 50,000 a week. The only reason anyone would spend 50,000 a week on drugs is because you're dealing, and you're a middleman. Well, there's no way in the world that you are able to consume 50,000. No longer wants grits. It's the image of him being naked. That's funny. Ah. Hello, Walter Beck. Good to see you. Yeah, I think he was Dylan also. So you do think I do put the U and R in washed, 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 washed. I guess I do put R in it. or you've got me now that from now on I'll be putting it in it because you've pointed that out. And this is a common thing, Jeff. You're right, along with dealing that you can have drug issues. And he did have a history of rehab. So, but was he making most use of that under the guise of some possibly defense, which it didn't work out for him, which I'm glad. Um, I'd love to know which country has the money stashed in. Yeah, I believe it's on some of those islands, in some of those bank accounts, and the family knows. You can't tell me that the family does. You know, I have no proof of it, but um, you know, he would have shared it with someone. Too late, Dwayne. You're not. I'm gonna be thinking about that all day tomorrow. Hey, Alpaca, I hadn't seen you in a while. Um, absolutely. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Yeah, yeah, Dwayne, it's too late now. You've gonna got me putting war. Yeah, I can't even say wash anymore without an R being in there somewheres now. Oh me. Well, good for you that you've been you're recovering for 5 years now, and I wish you the best. Wish you the best. All right, guys. What did Mitzi do up there? Let me go see what Mitzi did. I can't keep up with chat, guys. It's terrible. Cannot keep up with it. All righty, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all coming in tonight, and I hope y'all enjoyed the show and everything. And I'm gonna go up and maybe have a cup of coffee. And got a lot of things I got to do this week. I got to start. Well, I've already started getting ready for our trip up in July for the memorial for Lyric and Elizabeth, and other work that we've got to do in the coming days. And appreciate everyone that supports this channel because through y'all's liking, subbing, memberships, wouldn't be able to do what we do. And I absolutely appreciate every one of y'all. And y'all stay safe out there. And I'll see y'all Tuesday. And but appreciate y'all being here, guys. See you soon. Bye bye. Yes, and thank all the mods out there. Absolutely, mods are fabulous. Couldn't do it without them.